Welcome back to Two Keto Dudes. This is Carl Franklin from Connecticut in the United States. And in February 2016, I put myself on a ketogenic diet to take control of my metabolism. In just 2.5 months, I managed to reverse my markers of type 2 diabetes with diet alone. As of now, I'm 80 pounds lighter with no signs of diabetes or heart disease.
Hi, I'm Richard Morris in Canberra, Australia. I've been on a ketogenic diet since April of 2014. When I started, I was very sick with complications from type 2 diabetes. Within 6 months of starting a ketogenic diet, all of my biomarkers of disease had disappeared. I've lost about 100 pounds and I've completely turned my health around.
In this show is a document of my progress through ketosis, in Richard's experience thriving for years in ketosis.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully that might help a few people who are curious about this kind of dietary hacking.
Yeah, we're not doctors. We don't want to give anyone any medical advice, but we are keen to share our own experiences. We're actually both software developers, so we're not afraid of a little technical detail, are we, Carl?
That'd be no, Richard.
We have done some research into our own deranged metabolisms and the science behind them. We hope to share some of that research. Where possible, we intend to put links in the show notes to cite research supporting any claims that we make.
And you'll probably work out pretty quickly that we're both foodies.
Oh, yeah.
We love to cook and we love to eat.
Yep, sure do.
In every episode, we both share a keto recipe that cannot be ignored.
Yeah, just cannot.
Nope. So let's start podcast number 96. Wow, 96. Can you believe it?
Yeah. I know, it's incredible. Almost 100, right?
Yeah. And this one's called Keto and Depression.
Heard you say you're due for a little.
So, Richard, do we have any apologies or corrections from last week's show?
Let's see. Last week, our special guests were Richard and Carl.
That's right.
Those guys are idiots.
They are complete morons, aren't they?
Nobody has complained so far, so I have no correction. Sorry,
All right.
And I make no apologies for those guys.
Well, let's revisit what a ketogenic diet is.
Yeah, so a ketogenic diet is 20 grams or less of carbohydrates a day. This is just incidental carbohydrates. You might have a couple of grams of carbohydrates in an ounce of nuts. You might have some carbohydrates in eggs. It's about 1 gram per each egg yolk.
Yep.
There's a little bit of carbs in leafy greens, but you're not going to get your energy from carbohydrates.
Right.
So no sugar nor starch. You're going to have between 1 and 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of lean body mass.
Yep.
For some people, it can be more, and for some people, you can try less, but really you're trying to not get your energy from protein. You're
Right.
using protein to build your body.
Yes.
You're getting all of your energy, not from carbohydrates, not from protein, but from fat. That's right. Fat on your plate or fat on your belly from that Krispy Kreme that you ate a decade ago.
Yes, sir. And that's what we do. That's what we've done. We've been doing it for a few years now. And guess what? We're still here.
Yeah. And healthier than ever.
Yeah. So how was your week, my friend?
It was pretty good. The cricket's on, of course, this time of year, which is always good. And I went out on date night the other day. It was actually to the Press Club, which is the restaurant where Julie works.
Yeah.
It's actually a 3-hatted restaurant. And a chef's hat in Australia is a mark to signify that it's a fancy restaurant. So 1-hatted restaurants are really quite nice.
Yeah.
2-hatted restaurants are really something special. And then the 3-hatted restaurants are really quite rare.
Wow.
So I guess it's like 2 Michelin stars in Europe.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you've ever eaten at a Michelin star restaurant, you'll know that that's fancy food, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we ate at this restaurant, and there was only 3 tables that had diners. And of the 2 other tables, at least one of the tables was having a conversation about low-carb foods and
Wow.
about which of the foods on the plate were low-carb and which were not. And then it turned out when we ordered, the waitress came out and she asked us for our order. We gave our orders and we asked for no chips with the meals. And she said, "Oh, are you ketogenic?" And we said, "Yeah, actually, we are." And she said, "So am I. I've lost 30 pounds." So,
That's great.
there you go. So this is at a fancy restaurant. So,
Right.
yeah, guess what, people? We're winning.
We're winning. It's
Yep.
actually happening. It's very cool. Yeah, I'm glad to see it's becoming more mainstream.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the problems about this meal, however, was that there must have been some carbs in it because the next day or that night, all of my joints started aching, specifically my left knee and my right shoulder, which are injuries that I've had for decades.
Yeah.
And ever since I've been ketogenic, I virtually haven't felt the injury because this inflammation, this systemic inflammation that ketosis combats, basically provides a low-level inflammation across the entire body. And anywhere you have a specific injury is going to have some pain. And if you have the pain every single day of the year, you don't notice it. But if you don't have the pain for 364 days of the year, and then one day of the year you have all of the pain.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, I spent about 22 hours trying to sleep and about 2 hours asleep that 24 hours after that meal. So it just shows me that really I don't have the metabolic flexibility to be able to do that kind of thing. If I don't eat sugar or starch, I feel great and I function wonderfully.
Yeah.
If I do, things start to go downhill. So anyway, that's a little bit of information for me. I now know that I think it was quince paste was in this meal.
Wow. It was pork, you said before, right?
Yeah. So the meal was a sous vide pork belly with flavors of quince. So it had a pickled quince, a quince paste, and I guess a quince jelly. I didn't eat the jelly because that was clearly sweet. But maybe the pickled quince and the quince paste were a little bit too much carbs. I only had a very small amount of each, but it was probably enough. And then the main course, so that was the what we call an entree in Australia, but in America you'd probably call an appetizer.
Appetizer, yeah.
Yeah, and then for our main course, which in America you'd call an entree, that was spatchcock.
Yeah, so that's like a split chicken, the chicken that's split and flattened.
Yeah, and they did it in a fancy way, so it came out a perfect square. And I'll share the photograph of it, but it was in like a creamy jus, and it was delicious. So, and then cheese for dessert. So it sounded like a pretty ketogenic meal, but I must have had something in there that I wasn't expecting. So,
Yep.
There
you go.
It's one of these experiences that we get when we're ketogenic.
Yeah.
So how was your week, Carl?
My week was pretty good. As you know, I'm spending a lot of time these days, as are you, working on the Obesity Code podcast. And so we have been putting this thing out for several weeks now. We're on episode 9. And last week I did something different. I'm experimenting with less intrusive music because we get a few comments that, it can be distracting for some people. A lot of people love it and nobody really notices. But so anyway, I started mixing it up. I just played along to the track and did a custom score, so to speak, to the final edited speaking only track, right? And I thought it came out pretty good, although one person emailed me and said, this new approach I'm taking is even more distracting, which is really strange. But he also said that he had some sort of auditory condition that most people don't have, where he can't go to loud places because it really messes with his mind hearing everything. Like he hears things that a lot of people don't hear. Yeah,
I actually have an auditory condition where if I hear music with lyrics, the music for me totally drowns out the lyrics.
Right.
So, and I know that's a fairly common thing.
Yeah.
So you have to really sit there and focus on the lyrics to try and remember them, and you even have to write them down to be able to remember them because the music just overwhelms it. That could be a variant of that kind of function. So I'm going to listen along to it and see if it has that kind of effect where I don't notice the words because the music's there.
Right.
Yeah, it's all a work in progress, and it's an interesting experiment. Let us know how you feel about the podcast.
Yeah, and maybe we'll put up a little survey, form and link to it in the show notes. Other than that, I'm looking forward to a awesome gig with the band on Saturday night at the Social here in New London, Connecticut. And to prepare for that, I've started fasting. So we're recording this on Thursday night, my time. So the last meal I had was an early lunch today. And that's the last time I'm going to eat, at least until after Saturday night, maybe Sunday morning.
Awesome.
Yeah, because I love the way I play when I fast.
Yeah. Yeah, you got energy all night, and at the end of the show when it's time to bump out and move all of your gear back up to your studio.
Yeah,
that's a lot of hard work. The effort doesn't stop when the show's finished.
No, we get a quick break and then we got to start tearing it all down, and it's a 9-piece band, so it's no small effort.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like giving away a mug.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's give away some gear.
Yeah, let's give away some gear. And every show we're going to give away stuff. We're giving away a Keep Calm and Keto On mug with Richard and Carl's mugs on them. Our faces, that is.
Nice, a mug with our mugs on it.
And today's winner, Richard, is... Wait for it.
Mm-hmm.
Wait for it.
I'm waiting.
Jenna Bovenzi from Rochester, New York.
Congratulations, Jenna.
Congratulations. And Jenna won that just by signing up for the Two Keto Dudes fan club. I know, there is such a thing. It's crazy, but there is. And if you go to fanclub.2keto.com and answer a few questions, then you're in the fan club. And we randomly pick someone in every show to win a mug or something else.
Nice. And if you don't want to wait to win a mug, you can always buy one at gear.2keto.com or pick up a T-shirt with a fancy, witty keto saying on it.
Or a onesie. Or some other useless junk. All right, I feel like reading some mail. Should we do it? Ready?
Let's read some mail. What you got, Carl?
Well, actually, I read a Facebook post from my friend Tom Seast.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's been a guest on our show twice.
Yeah, and just recently, he and Brenda were talking about heart issues. And, Tom has this heart condition that...
atrial fibrillation, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So he posted this on Facebook, and I got to share it with the world. So I just left my appointment with my cardiologist, and I have excellent news. My left ventricular ejection fraction, estimated...
Nice.
...has improved from 27% to 47% in the last 3 months.
Outstanding.
And his measured left ventricular ejection fraction... which I'm not really sure the difference, but that has gone from 31% to 59%. While my heart function and size are not normal yet, the improvement is considered fantastic.
And impossible, I think.
Yeah, I guess.
Highly implausible, yeah.
That's what his cardiologist said.
So that's outstanding.
Yeah, way to go, Tom. And I went to Wikipedia and I looked up ejection fraction, and normal is 58%. So, yeah, he's getting there.
Okay. Yeah, well, if he's gone from 30, if his measured ejection fraction's gone from 31% to 59%,
he is
outstanding.
Normal. Yeah. Well, he says
well done.
His function and size are not normal yet, so he does have a oversized heart. He's got a big heart, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's true.
And he loves kitty cats. So that's what I got. What do you got, Richard?
So I've got one from the ketogenic forums, and this message is from Sarah. And Sarah says, how bad is it eating bad carbs here and there in between keto? I feel so guilty. Final exams and soon the holidays are here, and I've been eating a cake and a burger here and there, but usually I'm really strict with the keto diet. I feel bloated and horrible, but my question is, does once in a while cheating impact all of the hard work?
Well, yeah, you're experiencing it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You feel bloated and awful.
Yeah.
So there were plenty of great comments in the thread, and I would add that, it's not a drama if it doesn't become a habit.
Right.
We each seem to have our own personal tipping point for carbs, above which we find it easier to keep eating carbs and harder to stop eating them. And each of us appear to have a different amount of time that it takes of not eating them to get back to, happy ketosis.
Yep.
I personally don't make a lot of ketones no matter what I do. I'm currently fasted over 2 days, and I'm making 0.4 of a millimole per litre. So I fall out of ketosis above about 40 to 50 grams of carbs, and it takes me about 5 days at or below 20 to get back into ketosis. So if you're in a position where you have to eat above X number grams of carbs, just accept that it's going to be tough for you for the next Y number of days under Z grams of carbs a day. And what your personal X, Y, and Z are will be unique to your circumstance, and you need to learn what that is. For me, X is 50. If I eat above 50 grams of carbs, I start going downhill. Y, which is the number of days necessary to be able to eat low carb to be able to get back to a happy medium, is 5 days worth. It takes me about 5 days. And then, whatever your personal amount that you have to get under to stay there, for me, it's 20. So, that's my X, Y, and Z. The other thing I would also say is that guilt is a waste of energy.
Yes.
It's just a biochemical state that you've gotten into. You're not in a moral crisis. So don't feel guilty about it. Just accept my biochemistry is messed up. I did it to myself, and I know how to work my way out of it.
Right.
It just means that you've got to go hardcore keto for long enough to be able to get into a state of ketosis.
Right. And I've found that the more I do this, if there are carbs, and carbs happen once in a while, but they don't affect me like they used to anymore.
Right.
And I think that's just a sign of being fat adapted, right?
Yeah.
That I don't. If something happens, let's say I didn't know there was sugar in some sauerkraut or something, or some cabbage, and I realized that after. And I will go out of ketosis, and I will feel a little tight, but it won't be anything like I used to feel.
Right.
So.
And you can always, if you want to go really hardcore, just fast.
Right.
That's the quickest way back on the horse.
Fast with fat. What I do is if that happens, my first day, I do either a bulletproof coffee or iced coffee with heavy cream, or some just pure olive oil or something right away, and then I fast from there.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, Richard, we have a dude from Sydney on today, right? That's right. Matt Mosca is studying at Western Sydney University, going for a Master's of Teaching, wants to be a high school history teacher, but the real story is he was listening to our show and had some success battling depression with a ketogenic diet. So, Matthew Mosca, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Matthew.
Thanks for having me, guys. I just heard one day you had a regular dude on who had a story to tell, and I thought, well, I think this is a pretty good story. So, yeah, hope you enjoy it.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how old are you? Tell us your history with depression, and how did you first find out?
Well, I'm 24 years old now. Looking back, I've probably always had some form of depression. I just didn't know what it was. I suppose I just always thought, I'm sure everyone feels like this, sort of thing,
Yeah,
so, sure.
So yeah, anyone with depression probably understand where I'm coming from with that. But I kind of have to tell you also the history with my weight as well for you to kind of understand where this fits in with the ketogenic diet. So,
right,
I've got a younger brother, Thomas, who's also like me, a little bit, if we eat, our body's like, ooh, maybe we should store that. And I've got I've got a very young brother who's really insulin sensitive, and it's really annoying. He can, eats what he wants, doesn't matter, doesn't get, fat with the carbs, doesn't matter. He just stays skinny. Anyway, the only time I was able to get to a weight that I was happy with was if the carbohydrates were in some way restricted.
Okay.
Right.
The first time I lost a big bunch of weight, I did no carbs. But back then I was fat phobic. So I thought, tuna, lettuce, skinless chicken.
Sure.
And by the end of it, I was about 74 kilos, and I lost quite a bit of muscle mass, to be honest. But again, like I didn't know, you have to supplement something. Okay. You have to, if you're cutting out carbohydrates, you have to eat, fats to get most of your energy back. Anyway, so I lost a fair bit of weight there, but then by that point, I think I was working a really stressful job, and I think that's where my depression sort of reached its highest point. So at that point, I was a real estate agent for 3 years, actually. And, so, and a property manager specifically. And that was, by the end of it, I just couldn't do that anymore. That was really, really stressful. It was in Balmain, Sydney.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
The centre of Sydney. Yeah.
yeah,
But you don't look like you have metabolic issues. I mean, I'm looking at you through the video conference. You look fairly healthy and slim and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, I was never obese, but I'd always have that little gut, or a big face.
Yeah.
And, look, and that was just, I always saw, I guess I eat too much, or I guess I moved too little, standard sort of, mantra. And then from there, after I'd quit my job and just thought, life's hard, I tried to do it on my own for a few, about 6 months. I tried to do it on my own, but I thought, no, I can't do this. So I went on to Lexapro, which is only a 10 milligram dose, so a very, very light dose.
Okay.
What is it? What does it do?
It's a selective serotonin
Reuptake
yeah,
inhibitor?
that's the one.
Uptake inhibitor.
Yeah. So an SSRI. So I was on that for about 4 years. Okay, and so and obviously, antidepressants are life saving. I can never
absolutely.
like to say that they are unnecessary. I definitely disagree with that. But that's what I'm here for today, is just to talk about that there are, that there are other ways of looking at things. And so from there, I start to put on, because I think they have linked antidepressants with weight gain,
Right.
Yeah.
as well.
They raise insulin, don't they?
I haven't researched into it heavily, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. And I'm not the only one who's reported a significant weight gain after using it. So from there, I'm pretty good. I say to myself, okay, I'm going to go do teaching, because that's I think that's what I want to do. And so far, I've been on my first prac, so it has. It's like,
Well done.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Kids didn't kill you.
No.
No, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
What was funny was I was the only prac student who didn't want to give them sugar as a reward. I was like, guys, yeah.
Now, you guys just used an Aussie word, prac. What's that?
Oh, practical. So it's when he goes in front of a class teaching as a student teacher.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So, anyway, and then, so at this point I'm about 100 kilos, put on a fair bit of weight back on. Mind you, it was from 75 kilos. So,
Sure. Okay.
yeah, so I put a fair bit back on. Fasting blood sugars were still normal, but, whether that was from a bunch of insulin keeping it that way, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
So then I discover the slow carb diet. I'm not sure if you heard of that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
In which you only take in
Glycemic index. kind of thing.
like just legumes, beans, and occasionally like a sweet potato. And you have, I'm sure you guys will appreciate this, one cheat day a week. Which
right.
yes, and look,
It's very difficult to manage that.
yeah. Look at this, and look, initially it worked great. I lost about 15 kilos, but I couldn't get past 85, and I still had that. I still had a gut. Like I did lose weight, but eventually it just got too hard. It was just like I'd eat, I'd have my meals, and I was starving. I was so hungry after, and I'm not trying to bash on the slow carb diet. It's probably for someone who's insulin sensitive, it's probably fantastic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Or somebody who has some metabolic flexibility.
Yeah.
We were talking the other day to Professor David Ludwig,
yeah.
and that's the basis of his diet, which is it's a low glycemic, low carb diet, but he includes beans, he includes lentils, and, some things like that. So, it is really a slow carb end of the spectrum.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it is.
So all this time that you were experimenting with slow carb and all that stuff, did you feel any different? And you were still taking meds at the time, right?
No, it didn't fit. No. The cognitive benefits between the slow carb and the ketogenic diet, for me, black and white. Like,
Wow.
It was, and I'll get into that a little bit more once I get to that part of the story. And then I went to Italy with my family put on about 5 kilos.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, well, my younger brother probably lost weight.
Yep.
I should probably mention as well, I have a girlfriend who has struggled with metabolic syndrome. Specifically, she has insulin resistance. I knew roughly what that was. I knew roughly that translated. Mind you, I knew nothing about metabolism, ketones, fatty acids back then. All I knew was that must mean it's harder to lose weight. That's all I thought that was. So I came back from Europe, and my brother told me, he goes, "Oh, Matt, you want to try this diet with me, the ketogenic diet?" And I'm like, okay. You know, like I've always preferred fatty, salty foods anyway. So
Right.
Sure.
thought, okay, sounds great. And then I was listening. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Joe Rogan Experience podcast.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So he had Gary Taubes on there, and you guys did too. And I was listening, and he's talking about sugar, and he says the word insulin resistance, and I'm like, what? And then from there, the rabbit hole hasn't ended for me.
No.
Yeah. You know, I start doing all this research, and I'm thinking, wow, you know, my girlfriend's been lied to, but not lied to. I don't like to say it like as if there's, you know, some conspiracy, but at the same time, I'm thinking no doctor told her or said to her, by the way,
Right.
there is this approach which has been shown to work. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
By the way, here's how your body works, and here's how to hack it.
yeah.
I've got to admit, when I was first diagnosed with diabetes, I had no idea what insulin resistance was. In fact, arguably, I still don't really know what it is. I know a few hacks to treat my body and to move myself into a non-diabetic state, but for the most part, I don't think anyone really knows the full mechanism of insulin resistance. And so it's reasonable for not every doctor to understand it, but you're right. They should understand at least that a ketogenic diet has been an effective treatment for PCOS, for type 2 diabetes, for epilepsy, and also for other neurological concerns.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're 100% in saying that we don't really understand insulin resistance yet. Anyway, I mean, most people don't even realize that when you're insulin resistant, it also involves a liver with the faucet that's just turned up all the way. You know, like so not only are you dealing with the glucose that you're eating, but you know, your liver's not getting the message from insulin. So it's like a double right hook to your blood sugars.
Yep. Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so from there, you know, I found that, and we got her on it, and, you know, symptoms of her polycystic ovarian syndrome and insulin resistance are, you know, sort of subsiding, which is fantastic.
Excellent.
Yep.
You know, to hear that, you know, hey, like, you know, you're no longer pre-diabetic, or, you know, your fasting blood sugars are coming down. Like because again, we keep hearing, you know, that this is a progressive disease. There's nothing you can do. And the way it's traditionally treated, that's true. So by this point, I'm on the ketogenic diet as well. And it's kind of like, where's all this energy coming from? You know, why is it 2-3 in the afternoon and I'm still not hungry? You know,
Right.
Yeah.
Why can I concentrate like day in, day out?
Yeah. Why do I feel like going out for a run or for a bike ride?
Yeah, absolutely. And
that to me was amazing.
yeah, and by that point, I'm doing CrossFit in the morning and my Kung Fu at night.
Nice.
You know, so I was exercising a lot, and funnily enough, I didn't lose like a lot more weight until I stopped doing intense CrossFit, which was
right.
You know,
Interesting.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Like I don't know, maybe the body saw it as a stress and just thought maybe we'll hang on to some body fat. I mean, yeah.
What kind of karate do you do, or kung fu?
Yeah, so it's Kung Fu. There's 3 arts specifically: Tai Chi, Bagua, and Xingyi. So, and I do that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's called Gary Martin Kung Fu. Yeah, so I've been doing that 2 years now. It involves high intensity sort of mid rounds, conditioning and sort of kicking the bag and stuff like that. So, yeah.
So I want to know how this affected your mood.
Yeah.
And when did you notice this?
Well, I really noticed when I was driving to work one day, and at this point I'm still on Lexapro, but I'm in ketosis because I usually know when I am.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, I feel really good. Like, you know, like, and not just that, you know, that high that you get and you know you're going to crash, which I didn't get any more on Lexapro anyway, but I just felt stable again, almost as if almost like stable blood sugars, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So I you know, I discussed it with my girlfriend, my mom. I said, guys, look, I think I want to taper down on my Lexapro. And, you know, I spoke to my doctor about it.
Always important to do that.
I know I said this at the start, but 100%, whoever's listening, please talk to your doctor. So he got me to, you know, taper down, starting off with, you know, just going every second day. And so long story short, I weaned off. So at this point, I'm off it completely. And like, you know, don't get me wrong, it is an adjustment because your brain is sort of, you know, learning how to manage all that by itself now. So, you know, there were days I'd be driving home and I just started crying for no reason. It was a happy cry though. It was like, it was a really, you know, I just started thinking about my dogs, you know, like, God, aren't they the best things in the world, sort of thing, you know. So, but you know, don't get me wrong, like it wasn't all roses and daisies, but majority of the time it was a minor adjustment. And when I wasn't on Lexapro, but I wasn't on the ketogenic diet, I would have these really, anyone with depression would know what I'm referring to here, but I would have these really wild erratic mood swings where something would just, it wouldn't even have to be something big, you know, and it would just throw you off. Like, you know, that was it. Your day was done. And, you know, so.
Well, we all have triggers, right? Whether they're words or phrases or songs or.
100%.
Some people can deal with them easier than others.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is just a part of the human condition.
I think we have to understand really that depression is not a moral weakness. It's not a weakness at all. It's a chemistry.
Yeah.
It's chemistry that's happening.
Brain chemistry.
We are biochemical animals and we are subject to the chemistry that happens in our brains. And one of the advantages for high levels of beta hydroxybutyrate in the brain is that it does tend to lessen the swings between the manic and depressive stages. And so that's definitely, there was an article by Georgia Ede about all of the things that we know and a few of the things that we can speculate about how ketones help neurological situations, but including depression and related disorders. And there's quite a lot of data out there, and quite a lot of hypotheses that people need to do more research on. But it's certainly, I'm very interested to find out how you felt on the SSRI and on ketones, and what the difference was between having your depression managed by the SSRI and having your depression managed by ketones.
So I guess with the SSRIs, I didn't feel too many side effects, but the ketones, there is that mental clarity benefit.
Right.
But I guess with the ketones, I just feel definitely just stable. You know, like again, like I've not once have I felt erratic or, you know, frantic like I used to. Yeah. So, and I even, as I came off the SSRIs, I said to myself, I'm going to do a 5-day fast to, okay. You know, just to, you know, to sort of enhance that autophagy effect and neurotrophic sort of, you know, effect, just to, you know, just basically flood my
clean house.
Yeah, essentially. So I did that 5-day fast, and look, whether it helped or not, I don't know. Maybe it's placebo, but you know, look, to me, it certainly made a huge difference. I think my ketones got to about 6.2 millimolars.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mine, I don't think mine have been above about 4.5. That's about the highest.
Oh,
that mine go.
Kelly,
So,
my wife,
yeah.
did a 3-day fast, her first ever, and her ketones got over 7.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. But she's not deranged like me, though.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Do you know? Because my girlfriend struggles to get above about 0.5 millimolars as well at the moment. Anyway,
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, that's all controlled by insulin, isn't it?
It absolutely is. So, Matt, you mentioned that your girlfriend had PCOS and was insulin resistant. She probably is more insulin resistant than you, and she doesn't get high ketones. Hers go up to 0.5, and yours can go up to 5. And my own ketones are between 0.2 and 0.8 most of the time. To get mine above 1, I really need to fast for over 48 hours. So, and or get on a bike and do 2 hours worth of exercise. And there are a lot of people like me. Tim Noakes is the same. He has the same range, and to get into a higher range, he has to do that. And I believe it has a lot to do with the amount of insulin that we make. And we all make different amounts of insulin, and we all have different levels of insulin resistance. But insulin does a couple of things. It inhibits fat getting into at speed and at bulk into our mitochondria to be burned. And so fat has to take the slow boat to get in to be burned. And because of that, we don't make a lot of ketones. And so insulin it puts the brake on fat oxidation at the cellular level, and also puts a brake on fat delivery at the body fat level. So your insulin really, it'll slow you down from making ketones. And that really is something that I have to deal with because my fasting insulin is up over 14. So, which means that, that's preventing me from mobilizing body fat for a large amount. So, so that's probably an explanation for that.
Still waiting for my home insulin test kit.
Yes. Yes. Again, because you check your blood sugars and it's like, okay, is that because my insulin's high, keeping it like that, or is it healthy? So yeah,
we don't know.
Yeah, I think that'll be a really, really good step forward when that becomes available in people's home. In Finney and Volek's Art and Science of I think it was low carbohydrate performance, they talk about when you're exercising, majority of your energy is still coming from fatty acids. Whereas I think ketones are mostly for the brain. So that way your brain's, it's got, I've got a bit of ketones, a bit of glucose, and then the muscles can just do rely on a bit of glycogen and some fatty acids, which again I think is another really, really cool advantage. And this ties in with my training. Initially, my power output probably declined. Maybe it was only about a week or so. And then after that, I'd argue it improved. And the endurance side of thing was just like, wow.
Endurance is absolutely incredible, isn't it? I went from being able to ride for 30 minutes to being able to ride for 4 hours without a problem. And really, I get off the bike, I'm a little bit sore, and I really feel I could do another 4 hours easy.
Yeah.
So,
big time.
So where did you end up with depression and all of that? Had you ever taken anything more than the medication that you did before that, and you're completely off it now? Do you ever need it?
No. I think with SSRIs, you kind of on them or you're off. I'm not sure if you'd just like sort of take it, but
you don't take them like Advil.
No.
It's a chronic treatment, not an acute treatment.
Yeah.
You need to set your level and stay there. It's not something you treat a bout with.
When people that I know who take SSRIs tell me that they experience non-feeling, like they don't feel anything. Is that something that you experience?
Yeah, so I play the drums as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I'm a musician, and I felt like by the end of my time on Lexapro, I just felt like, like I used to play the drums for hours at a time, and I don't anymore, and I don't want to.
Oh.
And I used to listen to music for the fun of it, and I don't anymore. So, so that's when I sort of realized, like, okay, maybe it's time to, it's done me a world of good, but. I miss my drums. So
yeah.
Well, it's sort of you're not emotive, right? And you're avoiding emotion, or you just don't feel you don't feel like you want to go in either direction, maybe.
Yeah, like it's not quite a depression in the sense that you don't feel like doing anything at all. It's more the sense of like maybe you're a bit numb. You know, maybe a bit of numbness. Yeah. And, you know, not everyone will experience that. And I think I just did to a certain degree by the end. You know, just experienced a little numbness, you know, sort of don't feel, you know, like I feel a little bit good, but, you know, I don't feel anything, you know.
I experience numbness coming from other people.
Yeah. Well,
doctors particularly. But that's another story.
That is another story. The first time I went to my doctor, I got my blood test, and he said to me, "Guess what your cholesterol is?" And I said, "What is it?"
Yeah.
So it was a total of 8.7 millimolars. That was total cholesterol.
Wow.
Yeah. So it shot up a fair bit. So LDL went from, but this is 2016. LDL went from 3 millimolars to 6.7.
Wow.
Yeah. So what's that in milligrams per deciliters, roughly?
Well, it's twice what it was, really. I
mean,
over doubling. But yeah, that happens to a lot of people. Cholesterol goes up and doctors don't understand and they think it's bad. And
yeah, it is what it is. But then 6 months later, I got another blood test and my LDL dropped 2 points and my triglycerides are at 0.6 millimolars.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think...
And what's your HDL at?
1.8.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Ring the victory bell.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah. So after that's after all that profuse research. I remember leaving the doctor's office the first time and I'm thinking, this does not make sense. Like, how can cutting out grains, sugars and starches be bad for me when I feel, you know, I just feel good. You know, like,
and everything else improves except this one marker.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe we don't understand the marker.
Yeah, so the LDL particle is being used to transit fat around your body.
Exactly.
And when you live on fat, you're transiting a lot more fat around your body for most people.
Yeah.
And some people go down, some people go up. But the rough ratio is for every 1 millimole per litre is approximately 38 milligrams per deciliter of cholesterol. So you know, when you're saying you had a total cholesterol of 8, that's about 320 milligrams per deciliter, which is really quite high. So anything above 200, and they start getting you on statins. So, you know, but the thing is that you can always get in Australia, if your total cholesterol is above 6, Medicare, which is the Australian socialised medicine, will actually pay for you to get a subfraction analysis every 6 months.
Wow.
So your doctor can, next time you do a blood test, he can request for you to get a lipid subfraction analysis, and that will tell you how much small dense LDL you have and whether your LDL is pattern A non-atherogenic or pattern B atherogenic, and that should make him feel a lot better about your lipids.
Yeah.
He's probably freaking out, and that might be good for him to chill him out a bit.
Yeah.
So, Matt, let's wrap this up by giving some advice to those who might be suffering and thinking, you know, maybe I should do what Matt did. And he says, talk to my doctor. I'll talk to my doctor. But how long did it take while you were eating ketogenic and on Lexapro? How long did it take before you started tapering off with your doctor's supervision?
About 4 or 5 months.
Really?
Yeah, into ketosis. And I don't say this from a gloating point of view, but I haven't popped out of ketosis at all since starting.
Nice.
I just feel too good. It's, for me, it's like there's all this delicious food anyway.
Right.
Eating that slice of pizza, for me anyway, isn't worth what might happen. So.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I know you're not a doctor and you don't recommend things, but do you think it would have been different if you had, you know, after a week or two, started cutting back your medication? Do you think it would have been any different?
Possibly. You know, by that point, your organs are all trying to adapt and everything, so maybe.
Yeah. Well, Matt, we wish you the best of luck with your history degree and teaching the kids in high school. And
look after those kids.
Yeah, will do. Thanks very much.
Heard you say you're due for little.
Wow, what an inspiring story. And we know people who get mental clarity, and, you know, there have been a few of our friends who have been depressed who aren't anymore after going keto. But it's just really great to hear more stories like that.
Yeah, I know that some of our friends have had problems with attention deficit disorders. And what they found when they went keto, they got that mental clarity. I'm just thinking one in particular who's an author found that she could write and write and write. Where normally she'd write for 30 minutes and then get distracted and do some cleaning and, you know, she wouldn't be able to get back to the book. And another, Brenda says it has helped her ADD incredibly. So there's definitely benefits other than for depressions, but we'll link in the show notes an article by Georgia Eads, who we referred to in the interview, and that goes through a bunch of these case studies.
Excellent. Well, man, are you hungry?
Yeah, I kind of am.
All right, then. Let's share some recipes!
Actually, I should say I'm fasting, so I really should not talk about food. But I've got a recipe today for fasting.
Great. Let's hear it.
And it's also relevant to the topic of the show. And the recipe is Vegemite broth. Now, Vegemite is this yeast extract. It's very Australian. It might be difficult to find outside of Australia. Although if you go to stores that cater to expatriate Australians, you'll be able to find Vegemite. Anyway, so Vegemite is this yeast extract. It's a black in colour and it's really quite potent. It's
salty.
Very, very strong taste. Very salty. So what I do is I put a teaspoon of that into a mug and fill it with boiling water, stir it up, and that makes basically a broth.
It's very meaty tasting.
It's meaty, it's umami flavored or umami taste, but and it's salty, of course, but it doesn't have any calories. So in terms of being a 0-calorie salt broth, it fits the bill, and it's very easy. That's the thing. Just a teaspoon in a cup, boiling water ain't difficult. So what made me think about this particular recipe in the context of today's subject is there was an article on the Daily Mail just today which said that the cure to depression may be hiding in your kitchen. Scientists have discovered that Australia's much-loved spread Vegemite has powerful antidepressive properties.
Interesting.
It turns out that it's absolutely full of B vitamins, which is linked to fewer cases of stress. And scientists say that any yeast-based spread, so you could do it with Marmite, you could do it with Promite, you can do it with any yeast-based
all things we don't
spread.
have in the United States.
Right. Yeah. Well, yes, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But the scientists say that any yeast-based spread is a cheap and accessible mood lifter.
Nice.
And it's and they've linked Vegemite with lower stress and anxiety. So
well, we all know, in the United States anyway, we all know that get a shot of B12 if you're feeling down, right? Or you're low energy.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, Vegemite has got B12 in it. So it's also good for vegans because the vegan diet is notoriously low in B12 and B9, and Vegemite has both of those. Now, I guess in theory, if you're eating Vegemite, you're eating yeast, which they're bacteria. So if you can eat in the context of your ethical framework, you can eat yeast, then that is a solution for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
So that's my recipe. What do you got, Carl?
Well, I went to a local Latino grocery.
Okay.
Which is fantastic. And by the way, if you have one in your neighborhood that you haven't gone into because you feel it's not for you, it's for you. Trust me. I went, I did donuts and I found lard there, and it was real pork fat. Like, it wasn't pasteurized, processed lard. It wasn't, it was
fractionated. No,
it was real pork fat in a bucket.
Rendered pork fat. Yeah. I like my lard in a bucket.
They love pork, they cook with pork all the time. And there's lots of offal available, if you like that as well.
Pork skin as well. I mean, if you want pork rinds, the place to go is in a Latin store. Yeah.
So I saw these cheeses that I've never seen before. And I got a couple and tried them, and some of them were a little squeaky and some of them weren't. But this jar of Mexican cream spoke to me on the counter. And I picked it up and I looked at it. First thing I look at is, okay, what is this and how many carbs are in it, right? 0 carbs or very, very few carbs.
Awesome.
I'm like, okay, what is it? And it says right on the jar that it's a combination of cream cheese, sour cream, and heavy cream.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Interesting.
No,
that sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit funky, maybe, the sour cream and the cream cheese.
No. Very smooth, very cheesy, but velvety like a cheese sauce. It actually is loose. Right?
Yeah. So you could use it like over tacos.
Exactly. So I made some taco meat and I put some pork rinds down there and I put the taco meat on the pork rinds and I sprinkled this cheese sauce over it. And let me tell you, it's awesome. So it's really simple to make your own. Take an 8-ounce package of cream cheese and then you're going to use just enough sour cream and heavy cream to loosen it to the consistency that you want.
Right.
So I started with half a cup of sour cream and a quarter cup of heavy cream, and that seemed to be good.
Nice.
That's it. Just put it all in a food processor until it's completely incorporated. It should pour, right, like a cheese sauce.
Yeah.
Thickly pour. And if that's the way you want it, if you want it a little looser, you can add a little more heavy cream or sour cream. So that's it, Mexican cream.
Nice. Sounds good.
Yeah, I think that's a show, my friend.
Of course, if you have anything you want to tell us, something we said wrong, something you don't agree with, or some more research that you found to support or refute anything that we've said, send it by emails to dudes@twoketodudes.com or post it on our website.
And you can follow us on Twitter at 2KetoDudes, on Instagram at 2KetoDudes, and make sure to use the hashtag 2KetoDudes.
And of course, if you want to join the free ketogenic forum, it's forum.2keto.com.
And if useless swag is your fancy t-shirts, coffee mugs, all that junk, head over to gear.2keto.com.
And if you want a shot at getting some of that swag for free, join the 2 Keto Dudes fan club. You'll be eligible to win something in every show. Go to fanclub.2keto.com.
And if you feel like supporting our various podcasts and our forums, think about making a pledge on our Patreon page at patreon.2keto.com.
Or just hit the donate button on our website at www.2ketodudes.com or just go to donate.2keto.com.
And you can also see our podcasts and other videos on YouTube at youtube.2keto.com.
And if you haven't already, go leave us a review on iTunes. That's how new people get to know about what we do. And I should say thank you for all of the people who are writing 5-star reviews for us. Thank you very much. We're very grateful. There is one person who actually wrote us a 1-star review.
Yeah.
They made a comment that these guys are giving nutritional bogus information.
Socially irresponsible. I think that was on the Obesity Code podcast. Yeah.
That's it, yeah. So obviously at least one dietitian is listening to our podcast, which that's good. A start.
Yeah, that's good. 2 Keto Dudes is brought to you by 2 Keto LLC, who strives to support the low-carb community with podcasts and other publications. Well, keep calm and keto on, Richard.
And keep calm and keto on, Carl.
All right, we'll see you next time on 2 Keto Dudes.